Hi, Monica. It's so wonderful to see you. Welcome to the Everyday Mystic.
Thank you, Carissa. So great to be here.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, we spoke a while ago now. It feels like it was a year ago or something, but I know it wasn't that long ago. Getting to know each other. I heard some of your story. I'm so happy that our friend Alex connected us and that we can sit down and have this conversation today because I know you've been through a journey and it's your own unique journey, certainly. But what I find interesting is that it so reflects so many of our journeys. Like so many of us who are here in this place right now walked a very similar path of where, and in those places that we were stuck and that we were not being our true selves. And obviously, society catches us up all in that place, in the false place, we'll call it. And we spend a lot of time there before we come here to the true place. So tell us a little bit about your false place. Where were you before you awoke to where you are now?
Yeah, so I grew up with a programming and mentality of being a strong woman, hustling, struggling to make money, being perfect, looking a certain way, acting a certain way. And it all started from my childhood, my upbringing. I'm Colombian, so also my culture has to do with it. So I was in this place of hyper independence, trying to do everything by myself. I had my son when I was very young, and I focused on being a single mom, going to school, getting my degrees, starting my career, then becoming an entrepreneur and creating my own company. And just it was go, go, go,
Yeah.
making sure I was the perfect mom, the perfect business owner. Um, and it was just this cycle of just going and going nonstop. And I was in a place where I believed I always had to chase something in order to find happiness or find success. So I was always chasing something outside of me, whether it was money or looks, like enhancing my body a certain way, external validation, being recognized from other people. And I really came to a point where I realized that I wasn't happy. And what happened was I started relying heavily on alcohol for coping with life and the place I was stuck in. And I started having some periods of sobriety where I would stop drinking for a while. And whenever that would take place, I encountered this clarity that started coming in. And when I was clear of not drinking or putting any substance in my body, I started realizing, like, okay, I know there's something else. There's more. I've always known that there's more beyond what I'm experiencing. And I started wondering and exploring different things. So I remember that I first picked up A Course in Miracles. It was like 2014. And I started reading the book, I started doing the lessons, and it was a little weird in the beginning because it was so different from what I was used to. But that combined with the stopping alcohol for like some periods of time started aligning things to fall into place, where I started realizing, like, oh wow, not everything is as I think it is. Reality is not what it seems like. And so, fast forward to that, to I also did a plant medicine ceremony, which was my first one. And there I really got a visual of what reality is really like what is my truth and what I have been living. And it showed me where I needed to clean up certain things. So my body, my life, my situations. And since then, I completely stopped drinking because that was also one of the messages that I received. And from there, it just led me on this spiritual journey of at first seeking, more knowledge, what is out there, doing a lot of internal work. and that brought me to where I am today. So, yeah, it took a lot. It was a lot, a lot of struggling and hustling, and then getting to a place of recognizing that, wow, all that really wasn't real.
Hmm. Yeah. So before you got to the point of even breaking the illusion, like, oh, that wasn't even real. Did you get to, did you go through that stage of of clean, you were cleaning out substances and alcohol. Um, did you shed a lot of old visions of you, the kind of the old you, I will just say, and all of the different old yous? Did you go through this process of releasing those and becoming something new, or do you look at it like, oh, I was always me and I was just all those other things were fake and not me?
Yes, it's more of a remembrance. So, in my essence, I was always me, and because of beliefs and just limiting patterns that I had, I started creating this persona. And so what happened was, when I started shedding, like, and I started with the alcohol, I started with many other different little things. Um, and I started kind of like discovering who I was again,
Yeah.
and going back into myself to really see my true nature. Like, who am I? Like, getting to know myself, like going on a date with someone new, like, who
Hmm.
am I? What is it that I feel? What's in my heart? What am I telling myself? What am I believing? And those things also led to this profound journey of self love, because I realized that I was just living, like I said, a persona. Like, I was pretending to be someone for the outer world instead of fully embracing who I truly am in myself.
Hmm.
And that even led me to make a lot of changes. I removed my breast implants. I stopped using any type of fillers or Botox or anything like that. I fully embraced just my natural self. And, it started with feeling so much love inside that I realized, like, wow, what am I doing to my body? Like, this portal that is here to help me be a messenger for the divine, and I also cleanse that too. So yeah, it was more of a remembering,
Yeah.
of turning back to myself.
That's how I look at it too, or a remembrance. I'm so glad that you brought that up because I think a lot of people think that, they want the new me. They feel shitty and life sucks and they're in this place and it's like they want to be new. And I look at it personally, and I'm so glad that you shared your story around this, that it's not about a new you, it's about the real you and
Mhm.
that true you coming through, but, and allowing it to be present beneath, as you said, the persona, the masks, the personality, all of the things that we construct and
Mhm.
that are constructed around us, we're not even doing it consciously through childhood. Sometimes it's, defense mechanisms and all the things that we had to build up, and we were just doing this subconsciously, right?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So as you delved back into and began to remember who you are and see your truth and see your whole self, were there root conditions or causes or things that you discovered from childhood, now that we're talking about that you saw as, oh, this was a catalyst for how I was operating?
Yes, definitely. I am now at a place that I believe that it all comes from our childhood, and so I've done a lot of inner child work to, not correct, but to heal those traumas. And one of the biggest one, which before I had no memory of, and now I'm able to remember, is when I was 3 years old, my mother, my biological mother, left, and I never saw her again. So there was one day where she completely just vanished, and I never saw her again. And I know that that was a catalyst for a lot of the other different patterns that were playing out in my life, not only in personal relationships but also in business. It's amazing how these catalysts affect so many different sides of us, because they create this set of beliefs that um, just carries into so many different aspects of our life.
And how could it not? Something so
Yeah.
traumatic and tragic like that. And your story is different than mine, of where you thought the mother that was raising you was your birth mother, right? Whereas for
Right.
me, because I was Korean and my mother was white, I knew, and I was told I was adopted. So even though same age, I was 3 and I don't remember my birth mother, I wasn't duped into thinking that this woman was my birth mother, because, she couldn't have been. And so I had at least a little, it was certainly traumatic, but you had the extra layer of deception, right?
Yes, yes, and that is so interesting because for for 10 years, so since I was 3 till I was 13, for some reason, like, I blocked the memory of my biological mother, and then comes in my stepmother, who I call mom, and she raised me, and I had no idea that she was not my biological mother. So I was raised believing that she was, and then at the age of 13, I'm told, no, she's not your biological mother. This is what happened.
Yeah.
And that was also a major catalyst for, especially in relationships, because it was my father who duped me for the
Mm,
10 years. And then when he told me that this was the real story, I felt so kind of betrayed, like, why didn't you tell me?
mhm.
And why weren't you truthful? And that was a catalyst for a lot of other things that showed up in relationship, as far as trusting men. How do I trust men? How do I trust life when I grew up like this?
Right.
So
I mean, yeah, because it's such a foundational bit of knowledge. This is my mom, this is my dad. And so it could shake your whole world, that you wouldn't necessarily trust what you see anymore, right? Or trust reality. Now, do you see that though also as an opening to, it's like, okay, well, if this isn't real, what else isn't real?
yes, because what happened was, through my childhood, even though I didn't have memory of those events, I knew something was off. So my intuition was really strong since I was a child. And so when at 13, when I was told what the real story was, I was like, oh, this is confirmation.
Mm,
Confirmation that not everything that seems real is real as it is.
mhm.
So definitely it was as well, like an opening.
Yeah, the
Mhm.
the the beginning, right, of the journey that you shared. So let's go back to, or I guess now we're going forward to, but back to what you had shared about as you were cleansing and remembering and coming
Mhm.
back to yourself, you realized that and to be a divine channel, you needed to treat your body as a temple and to clean out the not only the substances that you're putting in, but these substances that you put in at one time, these implants. So
Yeah.
share that story with us. What was that like for you? And how did you, I guess, come to that realization?
Yeah, so the first time that I received a message about that was during my first plant medicine ceremony. And during the ceremony, it was very clear because I was in actual physical pain around my breasts,
Mm,
and I could feel it. And the message was like, just remove them, cleanse your body. And it came along with other messages like, stop drinking alcohol, stop eating meat. It's not good for your body. Everybody's different, but my body, it wasn't good for my body. And so that idea was planted through that ceremony in 2016. And it was there. It was there. And I wasn't at the place where I could even imagine doing that at
mm,
that moment. And then fast forward as I went into my studies and my journey, I think what happened was I started going so much into myself. It was a process. It was a process of, uncovering things, recognizing things from the past, trauma, and loving each and every one of them. That I came to a point that in 2020 I did a detox. So I started studying a lot of Ayurveda, and I did a detox. And during that detox, I learned so much about my body, about how it's connected to nature and the entire universe, and how it's connected even to me and my own emotions. And through that detox, I was able to, it was so amazing because it was a 30-day detox. And at the end of the 30 days, my mind was so clear. And I would go into these meditative states that I couldn't access before. But it was because I had released all these toxins that were in my body. And I stopped eating meat since then. I changed my entire diet. And then I continued to think about that idea. Okay, like if I'm removing all these toxins by doing this detox, this cleanse, like these other toxins also need to go. Like my body is absorbing the silicone that is being dripped. Even if it's in very tiny amounts, it's dripping within the body. And I started being more serious about this idea. And it's a process because I realized that I had fears of how am I going to look? Am I going to feel attractive? And things of that nature. So it took me a couple of years, but in 2022, I said, I'm ready
Mm,
and I'm excited to remove these implants and to just to feel my heart. I realized also the cosmic version of it was that my breast implants were a shield.
mm,
They were right here. They were a shield covering my heart. And if I wanted to be fully authentic and real, it was time to open my heart and remove those shields and those walls around it.
mm.
So, yeah.
How beautiful. Were
Mhm.
you, well, I guess let's talk about the recovery period, not physically, but what were your first inklings that, oh, that this actually did something for you, that this did, well, let's say, open your heart or uh, lead you further into your body? What was that like, that process like for you?
Well, the first thing that I noticed, and this was immediately once I opened my eyes after surgery, I was able to take a full deep breath. And
Oh,
I had no idea that I wasn't even breathing fully
oh,
before
wow.
because I had my implants for 19 years.
Mm,
So I had no idea I wasn't fully breathing. And when I was able to take a full deep breath, it felt so good.
mm,
And I immediately thought, like, what is my breath? My breath is life. Like, I wasn't even feeling my full life, like living my full life. And now I actually feel it in my lungs.
mm,
It was amazing. Like, that was immediate. And I just felt this sense of so much love and so much relief of, wow, I'm not that person anymore that needs to put up enhancements to be seen a certain way or to seek for love or validation. And it just, I felt so comfortable and natural in my body afterwards that I just knew it was the right decision. It was the right decision. And I did start feeling that I was more in tune with myself and with my heart. It was an energetic movement, as everything is. So I moved that energy. I had moved it, started moving it within my heart before, and that's why the physical transformation took place. But I even felt it even more afterwards. And I feel now a lot more than what I used to feel before. And it's a little challenging to put into words, but I just feel my heart so expansive versus before it felt constricted and tight and hard.
Mhm.
And it's all translatable to what the implants are. You know, that's exactly how they feel.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
and you had just gotten used to carrying that weight, right? And feeling that the hardness, I guess. You just were so used to it that you had it's another thing, right? That, as we're talking about remembering ourselves, remembering our truth, it's like those are other types of, societal constructs that they're like memory blockers. They shroud us in deceit of who we really are and block us from knowing ourselves. And I mean, what a profound uh, and very real and tangible physical block that you had constructed. Now, do you feel now it's been what, 2 years, 3 years going on maybe that you've had them removed? Um, has there been anything, I guess, from your initial post-op to now that's opened up even more, transformed more, or is it just like, okay, just a general sense of relief and I can feel my heart?
I feel there's a constant, continuous opening of my heart. And it's also something that has helped and inspired other people,
Mm,
other women as well. So I feel it's like the gift that keeps on giving because it's not just me, but other women as well. And even I have male friends who, refer me their female friends, and
mhm,
and we get to talk about what's going on in their life and the whole process of removing their implants. But it's a constant expansion of my heart. It's been a year and a half exactly since I did the surgery, and I still feel like my heart is continuously expanding. So it is a sense of general relief, and I'm so glad I removed them and I made that decision. And I also feel my body is very healthy. It's
mm,
very healthy, and I've noticed other changes in my physical self that are relating to removing those toxins. But in general, it's also a continuous heart opening experience.
mhm. Don't you think it's interesting and I'm not saying you ignored the message you got from your initial plant ceremony. You just allowed it to alchemize and then, come to a place where you were finally ready to take the action. Because I don't ever believe that, oh, I was ignoring it, or, oh, I was lazy and not taking the steps. I believe that these things unfold in the way that they're meant to in
Mm.
us. And you got the message, the seed was planted, the message was received, and then it needed to unravel or unfold in the way that it did to the point of actual surgery, right? So, with that being, the progression, do you feel like, um, in general, your intuition and your connection to messages from beyond, whether through a plant ceremony or just in meditation or just in your daily life, do you feel like that has strengthened and become more also who you are since that period?
Yes, definitely. Definitely. Because also, when I first received the message, I still had a lot of those beliefs, limiting beliefs, and it took some time to go through them and work on them, and took some time to love all of myself. But now, not only because of my spiritual work and also removing the toxins, because the stuff we put in our bodies, whether it's through food or implants or whatever it is, it also affects our mental state. And so if we're not clear in our vessel, we can't be clear in our mind. So now I do feel that there's more clarity, and then therefore there's more access to my intuition, to my connection. It's definitely something that has greatly improved, including also, I have developed this capacity of working with my dreams. I dream constantly every night. And I'm to the point where I travel, astral travel, soul travel through them. I communicate with other enlightened beings. I receive messages. So it all has to do with it. Like
Mm.
clearing the vessel and making that decision and finally going through surgery also has opened up the channels
Yeah.
for for the energy to flow freely.
That's amazing. So tell us more about your dream work, because it's not just analyzing, you're actually experiencing your other life there, which I had a woman on, gosh, probably in season one or season two, who's a dream oracle. And we talked all about the work that she does, which is channeling dreams for her clients because she can enter their dream states. And she believes that we all can, not all, maybe all can enter other people's dream states, but that the dream state is just another state of being. It's not, oh, you go to sleep and some weird thing happens and you have these weird dreams and you're like, okay, that's not real. It's like they're as real as waking life, and we can experience messages and understanding and truth and have like a full other life within our dream states. Is that how you're experiencing your sleeping life now?
Yes. So, not only that, but I also am experiencing that my dream life and my waking life sometimes is kind of like in between. I'm not sure if I'm here or am I there, and then they kind of like merge with each other, and I'm like, wait, did I dream this or is this really happening?
Yeah.
Um, but then also what I'm experiencing, and that's a little bit recent, like in the past 6 months, was I used to think that I had, and ever since I was young, this started happening, sleep paralysis. And it was very scary. It was
Yeah.
very scary for me. It came to the point where I just always wanted to wake myself up. And last year, because I started working with my dreams so much, I decided, well, I'm not going to wake myself up. I am going to see what happens. And what happened was that when I started feeling the sleep paralysis, or what I thought was sleep paralysis, I started talking to God. And I would say, like, please help me, please protect me. And all of a sudden, I started feeling as if my soul was leaving my body through this very intense pull, which now has gotten less intense. And it's not like a out of body experience where you see your 3D body on the bed. No, I'm completely transported to another dimension. And in that place, I was able to say, okay, I want to fly. And it was very easy to do so. And I was also, I'm taken through different tunnels and end up in different places. And I usually ask something like, give me a message that my soul requires at this moment in my waking life. And I am shown messages. I am given gifts. I meet with other beings. Usually there's a being that travels with me. And it's just been amazing. It's
Wow.
such a great tool to use because then in my waking life, I remember what happened and I can use those messages, those gifts that were given to me and apply them in what I'm experiencing here.
Yeah. So the sleep paralysis, because my husband experiences that, and it's
Oh,
scary as hell. And we've been talking about this recently because he actually was doing some research on it. He didn't realize, one, that a lot of other people have it and experience it, but he also didn't realize, at least what he read, was that your body actually can be physically paralyzed. And now maybe this is just the control of the mind and that, you can easily get out of that. But he has the same feeling of, I need to wake myself up. This is so scary. I need to get out of it, but he can't. And he's frozen, right? So was it for you that you had something in the dream that was looming or was like a demon or scary to you that you wanted to wake up from? Like, what was it that was creating, I guess, the sense of paralysis or fear?
I thought it was, they call it a demon in sleep paralysis. So I thought it was that until I realized that there are no demons. It's all in here. And
Mm,
so I reached this place where I decided to fully trust and let go. And I knew that there was something there for me to discover because it has happened my entire life. And up to last year, I was fighting it. And last year, when I decided to stop fighting it and instead to surrender to it and just talk to my higher self and ask for protection, ask for guidance. It was then when I started experiencing these soul traveling journeys. And it has been amazing. I mean,
mm,
I still feel the pull that I felt with the sleep paralysis, like the soul trying to come out of the body, but it's become more even more gentle. And
mm.
also at the time when I am about to wake up, I feel my soul getting into my body in a very gentle way. So it does get better. So I would say to your husband to maybe try to play with it,
Yeah.
like yeah,
Yeah, he has, done the work of like facing the quote unquote demon or the witch in his case, and facing it, and turning to it rather than like trying to hide more from it and wake up, wake up, wake up. He would try, had consciousness enough within the dream to face it, and has had encounters with it. But I think what you're saying, which is really profound, is that when you when you leave the even the construct that it is a something, that it is a witch, or that it is a demon, or it is an evil force, if you just leave that construct behind and go, oh, this is me fighting myself, me
mhm,
fighting me from going to these other realms or to this higher place, and maybe all those who experience sleep paralysis are just really powerful channels that can travel and go to these different realms and get and gather these messages, and they're just scared as hell about that because it feels so weird that
yeah,
they hold back from it. And that's the paralysis, right? You're just like, you're holding yourself down on the bed because you're like,
yeah,
I don't want to leave my body. I don't want to go and travel out there. So that seems like the another first step of just not believing that it is anything actually evil or scary there, that it's just you holding you back, right?
right, which is the case with many other things in life.
Yes. Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So it's like when you feel fear, when you feel like this, oh God, I don't know what to do, and I'm holding on tight and I'm so scared. Usually that is the signal to just completely let go. Right.
Yeah, and you know what I compare it to? It's like if you've ever done a plant medicine ceremony, like the first times that I actually did them, I was so afraid to let go,
Mm,
because I wanted to have control. I didn't want to lose control of my body. And it was finally when I let go and just surrendered to what the experience was that it felt so good. And, like it just felt that I was in my natural place.
mhm.
And so that's how I compare it with the sleep paralysis. It's like, oh, I just want to take control and, wake up. But then once you let go of that, there's a gift on the other side. And it's so amazing because I've traveled to different lifetimes. I've met people that then I've met like here in this reality.
Yeah.
And it's just incredible what can come from that, from letting go and surrendering.
Wow. That's so cool. Did you, is that something that because I know you as a life coach, you've brought all of your personal experiences into that. Is that also something that enters into your coaching? Do you help guide people in that way?
Yeah, I take it, everybody has a different journey, a different pace. And there are times when I discuss dreams with people. And if that comes up, then yes, it's something I will incorporate into that. It just really depends on where the person's at, their path, where it's leading them to, and things like that.
Hmm. I going back to the astral travel or soul travel or lucid aspect of the dream state. Um, when you dream now, and like you said, you have this kind of liminal space too, where sometimes you don't know whether that came from a dream or came from the waking life necessarily. Um, it's like the veils are dropped or become very thin between these worlds to where you are now able to get and really connect to those different beings that aren't necessarily here in our physical, but they're here in our liminal or our ethereal or, these other spaces. So does that happen for you in your waking life also? Or do you
Um,
need to be asleep to kind of have those kind of conversations and messages?
yeah, I know that they are with me, and I get different messages and signs, but it's not as visible yet.
Mhm.
So the visible manifestation hasn't gotten there yet, but I am sure it will. I
Yeah.
mean, I did it through my dreams. I know it's coming.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, and some people, I just think it's a difference in where those messages come through because for some people, their dream life isn't necessarily uh, as, let's just say, conscious or lucid as yours, of where you're actually you're doing things that you are not just under the control of your dreams and a lot of weird symbology. Like you are actually traveling and experiencing relationships and all of these things. Um, so I think that's interesting wherever it happens, the dream state, the waking state, that all of these states of being are opportunities for us. And some people, it's like, oh, they need to do it, in only in, when they're led and guided by other people. And some people, like, oh no, they can easily go there. So I mentioned these, or I guess I'm reiterating it to the listeners, that our access to the other realms, our access to information that we cannot see with our eyeballs or hear with our ears and sense with our five senses, which are all part of the physical. When we start to experience life through our other senses, that can come in so many different ways. It's not just this one experience, or that any one of those experiences is better or worse than the other. Our opportunity is to just open when it comes, right? It can come through so many different ways and means. Just be open to that, and also not, compare and contrast with the ways that it's happening for other people. Like you said earlier, we're all unique beings of how it's all going to come through for us. And when you meet with your coaching clients, like, what's coming through for them and what's right for them. And that's true for all of us, right? As individuals, that we get that opportunity to tap into our own uniqueness, right?
Yeah, exactly. And what I was thinking while you were speaking was that the truth for me is that we're multidimensional beings. So what we're experiencing, whether we think we're sleeping or we think we're awake, it's all happening at the same time in different dimensions. So just because it's not fully experienced with our senses doesn't mean that it's not actually taking place.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. And and that of course can feel scary to
Mm.
people, like you said, you know, someone's first plant medicine ceremony or someone's first experience with the other realms and being in their multidimensionality. Like we're always in it, but then when you start to actually sense it, and I think that maybe that is the difference. It's like, yes, we are multidimensional beings and we're always there everywhere, but it's when you start to actually realize that and recognize that and remember that and in which ways you do it, that it's like you're just tuning in. It's like our bodies are just like this tuning fork or antenna. And when you start to like actually tune into those other places and bring in those messages, you can choose to turn it off, right? You can just be like, nope, I'm not going there. And we often do. Like, I don't know if you feel this way about alcohol, but for me, certainly, I tuned everything out with alcohol. It was just like, nope, not going to be that, not going to hear that, not going to know that, not going to feel that. And everything was just tuned out,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, exactly. That's how I felt too. It was I was tuned out from reality and from
Hmm.
everything around me. And what you said was key. I think for me as well was I just don't want to feel that. And
Yeah.
it was another escape from my heart, being in my heart, and alcohol was a coping mechanism for that, as are a lot of other substances that are out there. Even like nowadays we have so many different distractions that we can use to cope. Even our cell phones are a distraction. So yeah.
Yeah. And it's good to be aware of that as part of this process that we're talking about, this journey that we're on. If you as listeners want to get closer to your truth and your true self, it's a combination of seeking and going towards things, but also eliminating and getting rid of things, right? Getting rid of attachments, getting rid of distractions, getting rid of those toxins, and then creating a more open place to allow the things that you do know are going to support you in your truth, allow those to actually take hold. Because even if I spent many years in both places of where I was still using lots of substances, but also in deep meditation, deep healing, doing a lot of different types of travel and work. But I was holding on to the illusion, and I was holding on to gripping tightly in keeping that control over, oh, I'm not going to fully let go into this stream of truth
Mhm.
because I'm still scared. And so I was living in both of those places for a long time. And it feels really amazing to just, whoop, just let go,
Yeah.
let go and allow, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Um, it's such a relief.
Yeah.
It's kind of like I imagine it as like just like letting myself drop into and being held in like clouds, like being on
Yeah.
a cloud and just feeling this bliss and peace, and like what was I even thinking holding on to? The matrix, So
Mhm.
um yeah, it's so like relieving, and it's also so like unconventional because we're taught like, oh no, we need to control all these things. We need to do all these do. We need to do. The more we do, the more we can get accomplished. And that's not actually the case. And that feels like such a relief and so much freedom to know that there's actually really not much to do out there. The doing and the being is all here.
Mhm.
As long as we're in alignment with that, then everything else just falls into place.
Yeah. That phrase of like, oh, she's losing her grip on reality, like, and that's a bad thing, right? When someone says that, it's like, no, actually, that's a really good thing. Yeah, like lose that grip, let go of that grip, and then really get into true reality,
Yeah.
right? So, what do you do on a daily basis to be in that, focus on that inner world and be in that and live from that inner place out? And I say that because I don't want people to think like, oh, we, me, you, other people who live this way are just like inside ourselves all day, like meditating in a indoors or in a this internal state, like where we don't experience the world. Living from the inner self is living from there and experiencing the outer world from that place, right? Not just like going and retreating to
Right.
the inner place. So what do you do to live from your inner world?
So there's a few things that I do every day. I do meditate, not all day, obviously. I do meditate definitely in the morning. I take little breaks during the day to be outside. I connect with nature every day. Grounding barefoot is very important for me, just in silence. And nature is our greatest teacher. So I really enjoy doing that. But I also, like I said, I'm a student of A Course in Miracles, so it's something that I read constantly and continue to do the lessons and things like that. But also, what I have, uh, the point that I have reached now is that everything in my outer reality is a reflection of my inner self. And when I take ownership of that, I realize that as long as I am in a vibration of love, peace, abundance, joy, that is exactly what I'm going to experience out there. So that is what I create because I am the owner of that.
Mhm.
So I daily I tune in and I make sure that by being in nature, by meditating, by listening to conscious music, I think the content, it's not just what we put in our bodies, but the content of what we listen to is so important.
Absolutely.
So, listening to conscious music, continuing my readings, my studies, my community of people who are also in consciousness and spirituality is super important. But that keeps my frequency and my vibration elevated, so that when I experience the outer world, I know it's a reflection of what's going on in my inner world. And I own it and I love it now. I love my creations, and sometimes they may not look great, but I still love them. They came from love, for love. They came for me for a lesson or for a gift. So, yeah, it's basically keeping my frequency and vibration elevated through those practices on a daily basis. That's how I live now.
What do you do when you are faced with something that comes up that you that doesn't look like what you wanted it to? It is, let's say, a harder or more challenging lesson to face. Uh, what what are your first few steps of dealing with that? Because again, it's not all just like uh, peace and bliss and joy all the time. I mean, we're still challenged, and we're going to, I think, constantly be challenged because that's our invitation, right? To evolve and elevate and to go deeper. So I think that, or to expand, whatever way you want to look at it, right? So those things can come up. When they do for you, what are the first few things that you do? Is it something that you recognize right away and then have a process around?
Yes. So the first thing I do, Carissa, is I give myself permission to feel. And I think a lot of times in spiritual communities, that kind of like gets lost because, oh, you're supposed to be all love and light all the time, you know? And no,
Hmm.
we're here living this human experience for a reason. And our feelings are the master indicator of what's really happening and what's showing up for me. So I give myself permission to feel because for many years I didn't want to feel, as we just discussed, like with the alcohol and everything else. So first I really tune into my feelings. Like what is the feeling that's coming up for me right now? And if I need to cry, I cry. I just let them go through me. And I do have a process because I start asking myself, well, okay, this is here for me. It's happening for me for a reason. And what is that reason? Like, what is the gift that it's trying to give me? What's the lesson that's here for me to receive? And I do go through that. So after I gone through my feelings, I go through this process of like reviewing, okay, what is this trying to tell me? What does it translate into for my consciousness? Why am I experiencing this? Where in my subconscious is a belief that that is causing this to happen? So I do go within and do the inner work. I also journal a lot. I write a lot. I started publishing some of it, but not all of it. But I do write a lot. It helps me to process not only the
Mm.
emotions, but also process what is it that my higher self is communicating to me through this life experience that I am creating for a
Yeah.
specific reason. Hmm.
Mm. Yeah. The journaling is such a powerful way to experience or speak, allow our soul to speak. Our intuition, I believe, certainly is the like first hearing of our soul's language. But then as you write, it's amazing how you won't even be thinking about what you're writing, but it's just kind of pouring out on the page and coming out of you. And when you get into this flow and you're like, oh, this, whether it's just to get things out and that's purely what it is, and you just never look at that again or you throw it away. I mean, we don't have to journal in any specific way. Or I guess I'll put it a different way. We can journal in 1,000 different ways,
Yes.
right? And use the writing for so many different purposes, whether it's to publish it eventually or to put those things out there for other people to see, or it's just yourself and you burn it after you write it down, right? And you
Yeah.
just get rid of it. I mean, for whatever, in whatever way, there's a massive gift that comes through that process of
Yeah.
the writing. And do you write like by hand or do you type when you
I
write?
mostly write by hand. I have tons of notebooks and journals that I keep everywhere. So I mostly do it by hand. Sometimes I do it on the phone or the computer, it just depends, but I like to do it
Yeah.
by hand.
Yeah. I do too. I
Yeah.
feel like there is a the real flow comes through the writing and it's like, oh, my brain actually is not even working. I'm not think I can turn my brain off and just I'm writing. Whereas I don't know, something about the phone or the computer, I'm still like my mind is still very connected. Maybe it's because I have to remember where the keys are.
For sure. I find that when I type it, either on my phone or the computer, it's like I want to like go back and rewrite something. It's like I want to edit
Mm.
it. And
Yeah.
so when I write it by hand, I don't. It's just like free flowing.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I have gotten into the free flow through typing when I was in like this massive writing channeling period. And that felt amazing because as I was typing it was the same thing. I was like, oh, and I was typing memories that I didn't remember that, and it was just coming out. And I was like, oh, whoa, this is so wild to see that come up. And that was, it's more rare, certainly. The writing, the free flow handwriting, tends to be, quicker access to
Yeah.
that. So, yeah, so everybody uh, listening, get your journals and I love what you said. You have a bunch of journals around. So rather than just have the one journal for the year, it's like have many places where you can just pick this thing up and write something down. I love that. So that wherever you are in your house, or maybe you've got one. I've got the one that I always take in my bag. Yeah.
Too.
Yeah. So it's like my bag one or my desk one or my living room one, and having those different opportunities. And I think that's what it is. It's just giving yourself the tools and the
Yeah.
opportunities to connect and to open and to live from that place. So what does my soul need to communicate with me? Oh,
Mm.
I need journal around so that I can communicate with myself easily. What else do you use to communicate with yourself in, you said conscious music, maybe you are led to certain music. Do you also listen to podcasts like this or listen to people and content in that way as well?
Yes, I definitely listen to podcasts like this. many different YouTube videos and people that I follow, a lot of channelers that I connect with as well. I read a lot, and I'm that's one of the methods that I'm sure my higher self communicates with me.
Mhm.
Um, and as far as the music, I love conscious music in different forms that it comes, especially plant medicine music. I really connect to it. And another thing that I have taken on is I used to sing ever since I was a little girl. And there came a point in my life where I stopped singing. Like everything was like I was so stuck in the matrix that I just stopped singing. And I've taken on voice lessons and I bought myself a drum. I have a keyboard that I'm learning to play. And I just feel that any creative outlet is such a great form of tuning in and communicating with your higher self. Like there's
Yeah.
so much that comes through creativity and imagination. So those are the tools that I use. And dancing, I love to move. You know, movement makes the body feel free, so it all flows together. And yeah, definitely being in nature. Being in nature for me is it's a powerful way to not only connect with myself but communicate with the universe through it.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. And nature, like you said earlier, is our greatest teacher and probably our best opportunity to just to be connected to our higher self because we are nature
Yeah.
too. So the more we remove ourselves by the buildings and the concrete and the constructs, the further away or the more layers we put between ourself and our true self. And so, yeah, when you're in nature, you just get to experience you as nature,
Yeah.
right? Yourself as nature. And it's beautiful and real and then yeah, letting all of the messages and communication come through.
Yeah.
You live in a beautiful place where you can be out in nature a lot, right? So,
Right.
getting out and like you said, putting your feet on the ground. And if you don't live in a place where it might be easy for you to put your feet on the ground, there's always a tree to hug. And I know might sound crazy to some listeners, but like, literally like touching nature, going
Mhm.
and like touching plants and holding trees and touching the grass. So if you're someone who doesn't like to take their shoes off or you're not in a place where that might be quote unquote acceptable or whatever, then there you have your hands, you have your face, you can breathe with trees. You can go and you can sing to trees and they'll sing back to you. And you can have experiences like that too, right?
Right.
So wherever you are in the world, there's always the opportunity to connect to something within nature and connect in some way.
Yeah. You know, another thing that I love to do is I like going to farms. Um,
Mhm.
and spending time with animals.
Me
So if
too.
hugging trees is not for you, go spend some time with animals and you'll also get in tune with nature like that.
So true. Yes. Yeah. It's one of our favorite things as a family to do. I love communing with animals and I don't have pets, at home to have that experience with. So yeah, we often go to farms also.
I love that.
Yeah. Beautiful. I'm going to put all of your links in the show notes, of course, so people can get connected to you, learn more about you, learn more about your services, certainly, if they wish to go deeper with you. Is there anything on your heart or left today that you'd like to leave people with and share before we sign off?
Yes, I would like to say just enjoy life. You know, we came here to play and we came here to enjoy. We came here to love. That's who we are. And let it flow through you. Love every experience, even if it seems unlovable. Love it anyway. Love it anyway. Life is so short and it's a dream. It really is a dream. So make the best out of it and be fully in your heart. That's really all that matters.
Mm, beautiful. Thank you so much, Monica.
Thank you, Carissa.